So why does muscle matter so much? Again, this is a big part. We need testosterone to help to maintain and build muscle. This is something that I'm a big driver on. I think it's one of the metabolic tools. It's just something that we can't not pay attention and spend energy on. And that is resistance training and loading the muscle and staying strong. It's been my number one go-to when it comes to reducing my body's need for insulin, basically. So the more muscle that I maintain and continue to grow, the less insulin my body needs. And it's not that I'm trying to avoid taking insulin by any means. Muscle and insulin sensitivity is just such a big game changer. Hello and welcome back to the show. Today is part 3 and the final episode in our Symptom Hormone Matching Guide series, based on Chapter 4 of my book, Highs, Lows, and Hormones. And be sure to buy your copy of the book. It's on Amazon, or just simply check the link out right here in the show notes. And we've already explored estrogen and progesterone. So today we're talking about the hormone that surprises many women the most when they learn how important it is, and that is testosterone. And before you tune out and think, that's a hormone for men, stay with me, because testosterone plays a major role in our energy, our motivation, muscle maintenance, metabolism, insulin sensitivity, confidence recovery, and quality of life for women too. Again, it is so important. By the end of today's episode, you'll understand what low testosterone can feel like, why muscle and metabolism are closely tied to testosterone, and what symptoms to pay attention to, and how to have a conversation with your healthcare provider. And just as a reminder, what I share here on the show is not medical advice. Always seek help from your doctor based on what you learn here. Again, this is information. It's something to take with you. And again, always refer to my book. We have research, trusted doctor information in the book. So that is always a guide. I think that's a great thing to just have in your toolbox anyway, but take it along to your doctor visits. And maybe if there's something in there, a chapter, a topic that is resonating with you. And again, it's going to be a resource that is proven and it is backed by science. Why women need testosterone too. Levels do decline when we age, along with some other things that we may or may not be doing. And it does pair well with estrogen and progesterone. Again, hormones like to be in that nice little happy sync and balance. And it's important for whole body health, again, from head to toe. Very similar to estrogen. There are estrogen receptors throughout the body, and testosterone is important with so many key actions and functions that the body gives you. And testosterone is not about becoming more masculine or muscular per se. Trust me, you would have to take a very high doses, and we're not implying that that is what you should be doing. This is physiological range doses for women. And those doses are going to help women feel strong and capable, energetic, and more resilient. So that is why we are talking about this today. So what are the symptoms of low testosterone? Okay, so these are the physical symptoms. These are what might be obvious when we're kind of looking or feeling or just noticing how we're feeling. And that is loss of muscle mass. So maybe you've always lifted weights and suddenly the exercises that you've always done have kept you strong and suddenly they're not. It's taking a whole lot more effort, or it doesn't matter how hard you try, you still can't maintain or build muscle. We also increase body fat. So again, when testosterone is lower, we can hold on to more body fat. It reduces our exercise recovery. So again, it's one of those amazing hormones that helps to support us when we are working out, but more importantly, when we are sleeping and resting and recovering. Because again, our muscles do the work during the exercise, but all of the benefits and the growth and building more bone density, that happens when we are in the rested state. So more symptoms is lower stamina. What I hear mostly from women is I just don't feel motivated anymore. It's harder to get through my day. It's harder to get through what I've always done. Those simple tasks just seem to be too much to do right now. We tend to procrastinate more. We put things off. Again, we avoid what used to be something we wouldn't even think twice about doing. So, mental symptoms, here's some things that we may be feeling that sometimes it's not always connected to any hormones, but specifically testosterone. And that is brain fog and the ability to focus and word finding, name finding, completing sentences, walking into a room and remembering why you walked into a room and what the purpose was. And all those things are really, really important, obviously. And I think that's one of the biggest things that can hit us when testosterone's lost, just not feeling like yourself anymore. And like I was mentioning, low testosterone, obviously, it lowers our motivation and our ability and our interest of just doing daily tasks. We have difficulty concentrating, work tasks, our creative spunk. I think one of the things that I've noticed when I was lower on testosterone was the inability to make decisions or trusting my decisions. So I would just be kind of all over the place with something that was put in front of me, and I would generally walk away. I would avoid it. I would just say, well, I can't seem to handle this right now. So what happens is that your to-do list gets a lot longer because of what used to just take a minute to maybe get through and decide on was now something that you just kept putting off and just keeping in the back of your mind. Well, that gets tiring, doesn't it? So that's really important to recognize that this is not you. You're not losing it. You might just be low on testosterone. So emotional symptoms, some of these are things that you might be feeling. That is loss of confidence. Again, when we're not completing tasks that once used to be easy, that can really dig at our confidence at just being functioning women, right? It reduces our drive. We can just feel flat, no energy, no interest. Now, intimacy, again, this affects relationships and our marriages. So a lower libido, reduce sexual interest. And in some cases, it's just performing sexually or being able to feel like you're part of that, again, that intimate relationship with your spouse. So why does muscle matter so much? Again, this is a big part. We need testosterone to help to maintain and build muscle. This is something that I'm a big driver on. I think it's one of the metabolic tools. It's just something that we can't not pay attention and spend energy on. And that is resistance training and loading the muscle and staying strong. It's been my number one go-to when it comes to reducing my body's need for insulin, basically. So the more muscle that I maintain and continue to grow, the less insulin my body needs. And it's not that I'm trying to avoid taking insulin by any means. Muscle and insulin sensitivity is just such a big game changer. And we can't properly do that with low testosterone. And obviously aging. Again, we want to be able to get up off the floor. We want to be able to play with our grandchildren. We want to be able to maybe play pickleball or maybe take on a new sport. We want to be able to keep moving, and we don't want diabetes to stop us, and we definitely don't want aging and hormone changes to stop us from doing this. We want to be independent, stay strong, and to be part of this life. So muscle is medicine. I love strength training. To me, I think I look at it as therapy. It's my time in the gym, feeling and knowing that muscle is over time is compounding into a tool, an area of my body that's going to help me more efficiently utilize the insulin that I am taking. So here are some common benefits that women often report. It's better energy, better recovery, improves body composition. Again, if we have more muscle, it reduces body fat. So again, hormones, all those hormones really do help with that equation and our body composition. Obviously, it makes us stronger. We need testosterone to build and maintain muscles, hence being strong and again, capable. It's those everyday functional things that make us viable and resilient. And it does help to improve our motivation and our mental focus. So important. Now, an often question, I think this is one of those things when you talk about a hormone that can seem like it's got the stigma around what testosterone does for your body. And again, it doesn't make you bulky and like a man. Trust me on that. But there are some symptoms, there are some things to look out for and things to consider, and definitely talk with your practitioner. Some possible signs that you are maybe taking too much and your levels might be too high. Number one is oily skin or acne, facial hair growth. So growing hair that you don't want to grow hair, or losing hair. Actually, too much testosterone, we can actually see thinning of the hair. And even eyebrows can be something, eyelashes. These are all things I've heard of. Again, it's different for everybody. And this is where we always come back to those symptoms, watching what's changing, what's different, what feels or looks different now than it did, say, prior to starting on testosterone. Another thing is more irritable, a little more short fuse. Okay, so we are talking about some possible signs that you may have too much testosterone. The temper has suddenly, you're more angry when you never used to get angry. Could it be some of those triggers that are now triggering you to a level that was never you in the first place? And this kind of ties back to progesterone too. I mentioned, and this whole series covers how important all three of these hormones are, and to find your happy place with them, whether you are supplementing with bioidentical or if you're doing this through a natural ways with lifestyle or maybe some herbs and some other things. And I'll be talking more about the supplements that I take and some other considerations if hormone therapy is not something that you want to consider at this time. But yeah, stay tuned for more on that. I have an episode about that. It's going to dive into some other alternatives. But it is so important to just understand how these hormones work together. They don't work in isolation. I've heard women say, well, what if I just took estrogen and, maybe that'll take care of all the symptoms. Well, it might take care of all the symptoms, but there's going to be an imbalance there somewhere because, again, they work better when they're in sync. You think about our reproductive years where the body knows what time of month it was. Body knew when it was in the follicular phase, the luteal phase. The state of our hormones were present accordingly to support us as to where we were. So what happens now when we're in perimenopause, when there are, again, that constant fluctuation, and then ultimately when we get to postmenopause and our levels are just ground zero and there's little support there, that's when we feel the differences. That's when we feel the symptoms coming on. So this is when it is important to understand which hormone to bring in and how much to bring in, when, and the delivery method that's going to fit into your lifestyle and how your body is receiving it, responding, and absorbing it ultimately. The goal is finding your sweet spot, finding the combination of hormone therapy that's going to work the best for you and that's going to outdo the risks, because there are so many benefits of getting hormones that are going to accent you and your life and your blood sugar as we are aging. I hope this is what you get from this show, what you learn here from the show, is how important it is to know this information and to write this down and to refer to my book. And again, all the tracking guides and the forms that you can access in order to keep track of your symptoms. And most importantly, what you can communicate and how you can bring this to your doctor to advocate for you, what you need, and, what your next steps are. So here are some questions to ask your provider. Again, we've talked about these questions throughout this series for each type of hormone. So again, we started with estrogen in the first part, and then part 2 was on progesterone. And today we're going to talk about the questions to ask your doctor about testosterone. So could testosterone be contributing to my symptoms? What testing is appropriate? Again, this depending on your hormonal stage. A qualified practitioner is going to know how to do this. What treatment options are available? How do we monitor results? Right. Everything comes back to symptoms because you know your body best. You know what's feeling better, what's different, what may need some tweaking, and to have a practitioner that can walk alongside you with that. And how do we know if I've reached my optimal level? Again, symptoms is going to tell you that, but really getting with a practitioner that understands, and hopefully they are starting you off at a low dose so that you can slowly feel the difference and find out if this is really where your happy place is and you're feeling optimally and your best. Your blood sugar is responding accordingly. You're sleeping better. Your energy is where you want it. Your weight and just feeling comfortable in your body again is where you are feeling good again. I think that's another important thing is to make a list of what's important for you. Why is this something that you want to pursue? And how are you feeling now? And tracking that, noting that. And what are your goals? What are you hoping that your end result is going to look and feel like? If estrogen helps us feel balanced and progesterone helps us feel calm, testosterone often helps us feel strong. So when you add all that up, we want to feel balanced and homeostasis. We want to feel calm and we want to feel strong. And when all of that is happening, living and managing insulin-dependent diabetes can be a whole lot easier. I'm here for you, and this show is here for you. And I hope this has been very, very helpful. Now, in this 3-part series, we've talked about estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone through the lens of the Symptom Hormone Matching Guide in Chapter 4 of my book, Highs, Lows, and Hormones. Now, my hope is that these conversations help you stop guessing, start recognizing patterns, and feel more confident in advocating for your health. You matter. I'll see you back in here, same time next week. Bye for now.